5, 4, 3, 2, 1. CTSP episode 52.
I think. I'm pretty sure.
Henry thinks. Welcome everyone to this special edition podcast where Jace is the producer and not Henry.
Special edition. Jace hit record, which that's
I'm
his
the new
level
producer.
for producer.
I want to be in the credits at the end. Put like a slide at the end that just says producer Jace.
Dude. Gonna have to cut that out again.
Okay. Good one, dude.
So we were off last week. We didn't talk about anything. We're gonna be off again next week. So this is a little middle of the hiatus.
Special edition. Literally.
Special edition. Okay. So infrastructure bill, $1 trillion just passed.
Well, what's weird is, like, I don't know if you saw, but, like, 18 Republicans switched sides on the vote. And, like, 6 Democrats or something like that. But the vote passed in the Senate, like, 62 to 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And everyone in the House GOP was, like, freaking out. And, like, all these GOP members were, like, freaking out that these 18 Republicans switched sides. And they were like, they need to leave the party and, like, blah, blah, blah. And the Senate just passed it, like, pretty bipartisanly.
It was pretty quick. It was really fast. That's funny that, like, it's funny because I think last episode of the podcast we were talking about how we, like, with the filibuster, and now you're like, you never get, like, 60 people to agree on something. But they had to have, like, put some weird stuff in it to get those Republicans to flip, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it's like a bunch of, what do they call it when, like, a certain member is given like a $500,000 grant to build a new bridge in their. Oh, what are those called?
Like, oh gosh, now I'm gonna be mad. My AP Gov teacher is gonna be upset with me. I don't even remember.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, when they they just give you money to, like, help your state. Mm-hmm. It's like, does your, like, the capital city really need, like, another arts center or something like that?
Yeah. So I bet there was a bunch of that crappy nonsense.
$1 trillion. That's so much money.
Well, I mean, what was the last stimulus package? It had to have been, I think it was like 1.8, the last one.
Yeah, that's
maybe
true.
Even more.
It is weird to see, like, that one felt very much like reactionary, like we need to pump money into the economy. This one's like just like businesses, like a kind of business as usual type bill, and we're $1 trillion.
Brutal. That's a lot of money. I mean, it was probably, I'm sure there's a lot of helpful stuff in there, but that's a big difference between, like, I think it was originally like 3.7 or something that they wanted to do.
Yeah, they did want like a huge one. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Speaking of, like, money, spending ridiculous amounts of money, did you see the Elon Musk thing? With the Twitter? Yeah, with, like, the UN, dude, like the world.
Oh, I have another. Yeah, I was talking about something else, but I do also know what you're talking about. We can talk about that.
Yeah. I just thought it was funny. Like, so basically, to lay out the story, in some interview that the head of the, like, World Food,
the United Nations Development,
like,
basically
the United Nations division that deals with kind of like world hunger and stuff like that, said in an interview, like, Elon Musk is worth $300 billion. If he would just give, like, 2% of his wealth, he could solve world hunger. He said that in an interview. Just a pretty, like, easy, like, score points. Like, we don't like billionaires type statement. I'm sure he thought nothing would come of it. But Elon Musk goes on Twitter, like, the next day or something and says, okay, like, detail how $6 billion is going to solve world hunger. I'll do it right now. I'll sell Tesla stocks, give you $6 billion. No response.
Dude, that's like real life FU money. Like, actual FU money.
And, like, but that's the thing. And it's like, it's available for them too, to, like, Like if the UN just said, okay, here's exactly how it would be used and how it would solve world hunger, they could have the $6 billion.
It's tough talk coming from the UN, which has been rife with just blatant
Corruption,
laundering. I mean, just bribery. Like, that's pretty
And
tough talk.
even if you don't want to say like corruption and stuff like that, like
Which
the
there
UN,
is.
the UN has never been like the most efficient and like effective organization in dealing with issues around the world. Like that's kind of been its biggest issue from the start, was that it kind of doesn't do a great job at enforcing stuff around the world. So I thought that was funny that he was like say what you want about Elon Musk, but he was like, his response I think was kind of perfect. Like, okay, do it. Tell me how. Like, kind of called him out on just saying those like buzzword things that you're like, oh, this will score me some points with the audience, but I don't really have to back it up.
Can you imagine just being like, 6 billion? Okay, tell me how, and you've got it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
$6 billion.
That's nuts. I can't even like imagine. Like, it's just impossible to
Or
imagine.
imagine winning the lottery. Can you imagine winning the lottery? Like,
Yeah,
just
it's
like
weird.
400
Just all of a sudden,
million after taxes.
'cause then
if
it's
you
not
won
even-
the $1 billion thing.
not even like a gradual increase in wealth, or like even like Elon Musk's increase in wealth wasn't like gradual, but relative to like winning the lottery. It was
Yeah.
like more gradual, where you kind of grow into the lifestyle a little bit. You win the lottery, and now all of a sudden, oh, I have hundreds of millions of dollars. What am I going to do with it? That's why most people end up broke again.
Which is
after
weird.
they win the lottery.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Anyways, Elon Musk also, there's a Twitter poll today that he came out with, and he said, you know, a big criticism is that billionaires shelter their, you know, essentially their earnings in holding stocks so they don't get taxed on it. And so he said, should I sell 10% of my Tesla stock now?
No shot.
And the vote was yes or no, and yes was winning last time I checked. 10%.
That like,
You would get taxed on all that.
yeah.
Dude, like,
well,
what, 35%?
no, because it'd be the like long-term asset tax, which is less. It's like 15%.
Oh, good point. Yeah, there is different.
But still,
there's different tax brackets of capital gains still, though. If
I
you
don't
make
think
more,
so.
yeah, if you make more money, you get tax capital gains differently than if you make less.
I still think it's like a pretty small amount for like how much money he'd be making. Like, and it's less than if like your annual income was that amount.
Do you want to know what my capital gains is when I like get paid on commission? Take a guess.
Do you want to talk about that on the podcast?
I don't care. It's just the tax rate.
Okay, whatever.
I don't care. Take a guess.
I have
The
no
capital gains tax on me.
I have no framework.
And it's not like
to
this
make
is for
that guess.
everyone, I think. I think it's for everyone. Like, I think this is just
It's a
like
lot,
base.
right? It's like 35-40%.
That's right, 35%.
Crazy.
Isn't
yeah.
that nuts? 35%?
Yeah. Cuz it's so I think with like stocks that have been held for a long time, it removes
Oh, it is different, yeah.
it like removes it from that capital gains. There's like a different like long-term asset tax. Yeah. But it is a funny kind of way to go about that, where obviously like you're playing the tax system if you're a billionaire, because like none of those billionaires take like income. Like none of those billionaires take like a salary to avoid taxes.
Yeah.
Like they all make $1 a year or something like that. So it's weird to kind of grandstand like that and be like, fine, I'll sell off 10% of my Tesla stock and make, like, how much would that make him? Like billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tens of billions.
Nuts.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to bat for Elon Musk, but yeah.
Yeah, Elon Musk, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about him anymore. I used to have so much more like respect and admiration for him. And then
he dressed up as Wario on SNL, and you just lost all of it.
Yeah, he dressed up as Wario. He caused the crypto
my
market
favorite
to
character
tank.
is Waluigi.
Yeah, I don't know. he's fine. I think he's really, really smart. I think he's a genius.
I think you have to be smart to, like, no one dumb makes that much money.
Yeah, probably not.
But
I think he's a different kind of smart.
oh, for sure.
I think he's like sort of in his own class.
Yeah, no, I can see that for sure.
Did you know that if Bill Gates hadn't have sold his Microsoft stock and diversified, he would have been the wealthiest man in the world?
Yeah, didn't like Warren Buffett like tell him to?
Yeah,
we probably saw the same post, and I don't know if we.
Well, if we saw it on
that.
TikTok, it's 100% going on the podcast.
Because we 100% both
Warren
saw that
Buffett
exact
sues
same.
us.
It's what is it? Slander.
Yeah,
Slander. If it's
slander.
verbal. Yeah. No, that is crazy if that's true. Because
Dude,
he'd
do
be
you
worth
think-
like $1 trillion.
Do you think that we have, because it's like a podcast setting and we're actually like, delivering news, I guess you could say, do you think that we get the same protections like publications get, where it's like more difficult to sue someone for slander?
Oh, it'd be like disgustingly difficult if someone tried to sue us for slander. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way they could. The U.S. laws on like libel and slander make it so easy to or make it so difficult to sue somebody, especially if you're like if you're talking about a public figure.
Yeah.
So
Because you have to prove that like you directly injured their like money or like you directly impacted them in some way.
and like not even that. You also have to prove like without a shadow of a doubt like what was said wasn't true or couldn't be construed as true. Like I'm not
Freedom of
super
speech, baby.
concerned about the like slander laws. What's even crazier is like we talk about freedom of speech. The UK, their laws on like libel and slander are like more like their tabloids and stuff can say more than like US news can say.
They say just outlandish
crazy stuff. And
stuff.
It's on the it's crazy.
Did you see that? You had to have seen this. I hope you saw it. But that Candace Owens video of her saying, "When are we going to invade Australia? People are being locked in their homes. They're not allowed to leave. They're not allowed to do anything. When do we invade Australia?"
I think I've heard about this, but
yeah. And then like there's like this viral thing where it was just Australians like duetting it, and they're just like and they're just like walking around, or they're like watching TV. They're like, what are you talking about? It's so weird.
It's a weird thing to say too, with like Australia's like one of our biggest allies.
Yeah, and to be fair, Australia's lockdown measures were pretty crazy.
I think we had an episode of the
pretty
podcast
crazy.
titled
But
Australian Lockdown? Question mark, exclamation point,
let's
question
not
mark.
invade Australia, Candace Owens. Let's calm it down a little bit.
Yeah, Australia's like, yeah, it is. That is so weird. That kind of like sensationalist method of politics. Like, it's the Trump method. It's just is weird. Like, has never been alluring to me personally. Like, has never, when someone comes out and says something like insane, I've never gone, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of like where you're going. So it just doesn't make sense to me when people are like totally bought in.
Dude, some big wins for Republicans this last couple weeks.
Yeah, in Virginia was the big one.
Mm-hmm. And in New Jersey too, even though they lost.
It was close. It was way too close.
Like
it was
half
probably
a percent.
way closer than the Democrats wanted.
New Jersey is such a weird one too, because New York is so Democrat and New Jersey is like much more, kind of split.
It's kind of weird that New Jersey is its own state, right? Like, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like, it's just this little like dumb
Dude,
little thing
dude.
like that's really New York.
There's
And New York people are going to be mad that they're saying this, but I don't think any of them listen to the podcast. So
yeah, in this this is such a, sort of off topic, but in this movie, The Addams Family, the cartoon version, there's this scene where they're like, we're going to move to the most disgusting and like scary place in the entire world, and then like it just cuts to a sign, welcome to New Jersey.
it's New Jersey's weird that it's its own state. There's a bunch of those little East Coast states that it's like, should those really be their own state?
What about Rhode Island? Should Rhode
Island's
be its own
tiny,
state?
dude.
Rhode Island is legitimately tiny, like tiny.
Yeah,
bro.
so I'll concede, like, the push to make DC its own state.
Only if Rhode Island.
If we get rid of Rhode Island and New Jersey, that's my stipulation. When I'm president, I'll say, okay, guys, you want DC to be a state?
It is weird, yeah. And we have a lot of North Dakota, South Dakota. Oh wait, are those the only two? North Dakota, South Dakota, North Carolina, South Carolina. Are those the only two pairs?
Yeah, and then there's like Virginia, West Virginia, right? Is kind of similar.
Yeah.
And then like North California, South California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True. Anyways, Republicans got some massive wins. They think they think this is a sign to come of things in the midterm.
2022. I saw a stat that was like 70% of people disapprove of Biden.
Yeah, that was probably like a right wing think.
I don't think so. I think it was like
his approval
CNN
is going down a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think he's just becoming more and more unpopular because they're not getting anything done. I mean, the infrastructure bill is like the first big thing.
Yeah, that is the first major thing they've got done. Yeah, let's see. I saw something about Kamala Harris. It's been a minute since we've talked about slandered Kamala Harris.
Slandered.
Not slander in the legal sense. We just went over that we can't be sued for slander. Slandered in the haha, we don't like Kamala Harris sense.
Yeah.
Did I talk about her hiring the child actors on here?
Ooh,
I feel like I did.
I don't think so. I think we may have talked about that off the podcast.
Gosh, I'm going to feel dumb if we talked about it, but there was just she did a thing. I'm almost positive we did, but I don't. We can pile more on Kamala Harris. She did some thing with NASA about up and coming young scientists and whatever, and had all these kids asking her questions and stuff. And then it came out the next week after the video
we did talk
about it on the podcast.
Yeah,
but
I think we did talk about it.
It's just funny. I can't believe they went with her for vice president.
Well, like I said, it makes you wonder what other arrangements were made. Pete Buttigieg became Secretary of Transportation.
Didn't they all drop out at the same time too?
Oh yeah, right before Super Tuesday.
Yeah, that's kind of scuffed.
Right before Super Tuesday.
Not implying anything, but Jace is definitely implying something.
It's just interesting, right? And I mean, look at what happened in 2016 with the DNC quite literally rigged the primaries for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
and that's come out. I mean, that's not even
that's
up
not
for debate.
theory.
That's not a what's it called, a conspiracy. It's that actually happened. I mean, that's real. The head of the DNC resigned. She's now she's now in Congress. Actually, her name's Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Real piece of work.
That's good that you can go rig the election.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if she knew she was going to get the funding and backing needed to become a representative before rigging it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Just very convenient.
Very food for thought, you might say. What? The some top informant from the whole Russiagate thing with Trump just got arrested for lying to the FBI.
Who's that? Another one, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the name exactly, but it feels very we're gonna pin this on kind of the lowest informant. To we got lied to by one person or one or two people that are nobody of any meaning, and now and then everyone else had no idea and just based everything on those lies. But yeah, kind of crazy that that's all coming out as totally fake.
Well, did you hear that there's a pretty high, people think there's a high probability he'll face criminal charges in Georgia. Have you heard about this? The investigation has been ongoing and they think he's going to get charged.
Can you I've always been a little fuzzy on whether that's legal to do.
What?
If somebody did while they were president, can they be charged for it afterwards in another state?
I know they have, I think it's called qualified immunity during their presidency, which means they can't be sued. They can't be charged other than by, like the Senate or whatever. But as far as I know, they can face all of the consequences of that kind of stuff.
Of stuff they did while they were in office.
Yeah, and I don't know what the implications of breaking a state law outside of office are too, because I think there's different implications of breaking state law than there is federal law. So Georgia certainly is their AG is looking to charge him. So
that'd be interesting. That'd
do you think
be
he should be charged?
interesting legal. What I haven't seen any of the new like evidence, because doesn't new stuff come out of what happened?
I think there has been some new
I
stuff.
haven't seen any like much of that, so I don't know if I could really say. Like the first time that I heard it, it was just like he kind of called somebody.
Yeah, he called the Secretary of
And
State
said like
and told them to
recount the
find
votes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that doesn't, I don't know. Seems like more work than it's worth for something that like I just don't know the exact details. So it'd be difficult for me to say one way or the other.
Yeah, I could see that. Regardless, he might get charged, which would be crazy, dude.
There's no way. Dude, he's so rich it would just go away.
I don't know. People, I think your richness goes away if like you're a political figure. Like if you're not a political figure, but he's not like a political figure. He's like an outsider, right? I mean, he's like sort of an unconventional politician, which makes him unfavorable to.
I still think
to like
because we're sitting here making the argument like, can you be charged for something you did in office?
Yeah.
In any legal topic with that much like gray area, like where you could argue one way or the other.
Yeah.
Like there's no way a Trump like $10,000 an hour lawyer doesn't.
There's no way Rudy Giuliani doesn't sniff that one out.
That's crazy that Rudy Giuliani is Trump's lawyer. Like just from everything we've seen in public eye, like I would not want that dude representing me.
Well,
so,
they're dealing with a big lawsuit right now with Dominion voting. Like pretty
that's like a slander lawsuit, right?
Yeah. And they did act like if there's a bar for slander, like even if it's high up there, I really think they passed it, cuz the stuff they said about Dominion, like they had spoken to the Venezuelan, they had spoken to Maduro prior to the election and had helped him sort out voting software for their election and rig votes. It's like
that's approaching slander. Not that like but you can still make that argument, like what's the economic downside for Dominion? Are people gonna like when they pull up to their local Walmart for their voting machines, are they gonna
it's
like
a Dominion machine?
I'm not gonna grab Dominion, run it through the self-checkout. Like I feel like, but yeah, no, it seems like a lot of people involved with Trump are dealing with legal issues at the moment.
Yeah, kind of no surprises there. He
makes sense.
Surrounded himself with a bunch of unsavory individuals, you could say.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, want to wrap this one up?
Let's do it. CTS Podcast, episode 52.